Hello,
When does that music go
welcome
away?
to
There it is.
episode 4 of Oh What the Marvel WandaVision. We have no intro music, the same way this episode has no plot, ladies and gentlemen. And we are happy to be here to talk about it with our skeleton crew, or should I say our white zombie vision crew,
Yeah.
as it were,
Holy shit.
coming in hot, because that caught me coming in hot.
I jumped.
Gonna go straight there. But how are you? Sorry, Sean, my co-host.
I'm
How you
good.
doing?
I'm really good. I thought the episode was good. I mean, we were talking about it a minute ago. It's kind of a confirmation episode for a lot of people. Like this is stuff that we knew was happening,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
other people might have needed a little bit of a yes, this is indeed what's happening. But there was some really cool stuff about it, and I am gonna push those cool things on this episode.
yeah. I think they wanted to push a certain side in this episode, and that is the non-sitcom angle. And even in the marketing up front, every thumbnail I saw was stuff that was just like
Yeah,
totally, definitely, obviously not from like a
yeah,
sitcom vibe.
yeah.
So obviously like confirming a lot of things, which we talked about last week as well.
Mhm.
I mean, I predicted that we would start this episode outside of the bubble and then work our way back into it, which is kind of what happened. But I don't know, I kind of miss being in the bubble a little bit, Sean. I'm not going to lie to
So did
you.
I want to get back to the sitcom stuff because that stuff that was happening was weird, right? Like there's some interesting stuff in this, but nothing near as cool and interesting as what's happening in the bubble. The only thing that I'm kind of worried about is with the length of this episode, right? It wasn't very long, and we still have we've done through the 70s. So we still got the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and maybe 2000s. So we still have 4 episodes, right? So
Yeah,
unless the last episode is like really long, or unless we start doing more of a mixture of sitcom and real stuff in the
I
episodes
think
following.
that's I think that's the way forward for sure.
Yeah, because we're running a little bit out of time here, especially when we have 5 episodes left. 4 of those are probably going to be sitcom related,
Yeah.
and we know that the sitcom related episodes are sitcoms. They're like 20 minutes long. So yeah, I'm
You think the whole the first 6 episodes are going to be sitcom themed, which is kind of a bit of a ruse, and these next couple of episodes are not going to be as sitcom heavy as the first few, which I think I can see being the case.
I hope so.
As sure,
I mean,
I hope. I mean, I kind of envisioned the show when I first heard about it. Spoke about this last week. Was when I said I imagined, look, we'd be jumping back and
yeah,
forth a lot more frequently, which is kind of what we did in this episode. But we don't. We're jumping back and forth, but backwards in time. We're seeing events up in from episode 1 up until this point,
yeah.
basically getting an episode recap, but from the other side,
Uh,
from
you might want to
the perspective,
you might want to really
bringing us back
quickly
to
unplug and replug your
God.
headphones in. You're crackling every so often. I don't know if you're using your headphone mic or
How am
the
I doing?
computer mic.
How am I coming out?
You're good. I hopefully it's not doing it consistently. It was just doing it every minute or so. All
Oh
right,
man. But
but yeah,
yeah, bringing this back to the beginning of the episode, we start off with Darcy, who we haven't seen in a bit. She's not exactly everybody's favorite Marvel MCU character.
I liked her in this episode. I
She was decent.
What was that?
I, she was decent.
Yeah,
I think they did a lot of stuff that they kind of like progressed her, like like the wittiness,
yeah,
like she was pretty smart. She definitely had her field. She pinpointed that everybody else has got a certain
yeah.
field, which and then she figures out, well, they don't know what they've got then.
But you're
Um,
burying the lead, Dean. The best part of
yeah,
this episode was the opening scene. Seeing everybody coming back from being dusted in the hospital and everybody just freaking out and being like, the people are like, we don't have enough room for all these people. Like everybody's, that was incredible. That was so
weird.
good.
At first, I wasn't sure if it was the to do with the snap or the blip or whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was just like Wanda, like bringing people in and out of that hospital or something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until it progressed on that I kind of figured out, was because they talk about the time difference of it's been some years and stuff like that, that it kind of fell into place for me that, okay, so that was definitely going nuts during the blip, which it would do. We never considered the idea that, you know, the hospitals and, you know, so there's a lot of repercussions to taking people away and bringing them back that really addressed at all in any of these movies. So it's fun to see a different side to that, and it was kind of, you know, it wasn't just shoved in as like a reference to like a big movie event. You know, it felt pretty organic, which was nice for sure.
Yeah, that was for me. We saw that. I've got a picture of this that I want to bring up just because I think it's very cool. We saw Sword Headquarters. Definitely looks like Cape Canaveral down in Florida, which is like the, you know, that's the center of our NASA program and all that.
I'd like to point out while we're on this that it's hexagonal, and they specifically mention at one point that the force field that one is creating is hexagonal, I believe. Am I correct?
Yes, on the board they wrote down why hexagons. So
yes,
this episode,
and we see that sword here itself is a hexagon. So there's a thing.
Yes, this episode we have a returning character who I'm gonna bring up in a second, and he is the viewer in this episode. Okay, he's just everything he's doing is what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks, and that is the man, the myth, the legend. Jimmy Woo is back, baby.
Yes, he is.
And he learned the magic trick. He learned it.
What? Oh, of course.
He does the card thing. He's like, Jimmy Woo, FBI. And he throws up the card like he kept trying to, like that Scott was trying to teach him in Ant-Man and the Wasp. That was awesome.
Funny you say that, where you say Jimmy Woo, FBI, because I was thinking, hang on, that's not right. He's supposed to be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then I remembered S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't exist anymore, and he's been demoted, and now he's working for the FBI instead of S.H.I.E.L.D. And now he's found his segue into potentially S.H.I.E.L.D. here. Where Monica, who just comes, she's just blipped back in. Her mum's died. So, you know, that's kind of bittersweet there with the I like the tie-in, but obviously, you know, we're killing Maria off screen there, so we know her fate.
I liked we saw the I apparently my audio is a little warbly. I hope I just read my thing. I hope that helps.
I'm getting you good.
You're getting me okay? Yeah. I really like they show like the plaque of the sword, like the important people that were in Sword, and one of them is Maria. And it's got Maria Photon Rambeau, which I believe that was.
I didn't see that. That's correct. That's great. I didn't see that.
And I believe Photon is her.
They had her as one of like the founders of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and that's her superhero name, right? In the comics, isn't it Photon?
Yeah, Photon. Okay. Among other names, you know.
But yeah, I was very, very happy to bring back. I'm gonna put him up again because I love him. I love him. He's so good. Jimmy Woo, FBI. I love him. It was great to have Asian Jim on the show for an episode. No, he'll be in more, I'm sure. But he's just I'm watching the show and I'm like, oh, the card trick. It's the card trick. It's the card trick he's been trying to do for so long.
I didn't get time to look it up, but we get S.H.I.E.L.D. director Tyler Howard. I don't know how to say his name. Tyler Howard. 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 Ty Tyler Hayward. Did you have to
I didn't pick up anything with that.
recognize that name?
Tyler Hayward. Yeah, no, I didn't pick up anything about him.
Wasn't sure if that was anything. And they also referenced an astronaut training program.
Yes. So here's the question.
And I couldn't help but think things about that.
So here,
if that was by reference to anything.
It seems like S.W.O.R.D. has been around for a while, right? At least as long as S.H.I.E.L.D. or not as long as S.H.I.E.L.D., but because S.H.I.E.L.D. started with Peggy, but it looks like Maria started S.W.O.R.D., so it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
The question is, are the people at the end of Far From Home, because we also found out that WandaVision is taking place before Far From Home. Far From Home takes place like 8 months after the events of Avengers Endgame. This show is taking place like 3 weeks after, is what we're told. So really quick for Wanda to lose her fucking mind, I'll point out. But also, are the people at the end of Far From Home S.W.O.R.D.? Is there a space? Is that where Maria wanted to go when she came back to work? She was like, let me get in the ship. Let me get back up to that spaceship and do my thing. Or is that a different organization?
They don't want her to go back up into space. She says, like, I want to get back to kind of doing what I do. And they're like, no, that's not really how it works now. There's not really anything for you to do up there. So does that mean we're acknowledging that in a post Endgame world that it's like Captain Marvel's like the like Carol Danvers is like the official kind of like the gatekeeper with that side of things? Is that like, you know, which I could buy into as the status quo?
It's possible.
That is kind of how they left it. That is kind of what her position was throughout the beginning of Endgame.
Yeah.
At least I'm not remembering specifically how they left her off at the end of it, but at least through the majority of that movie, she was kind of just in charge of like space security. She was just flying around the different planets and keeping order after the snap and everything.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So we got kind of a Captain Marvel cameo in this episode, in that we got her voice. So was that at the beginning of the episode we hear Captain Marvel talking to Monica? Is that a line that she says in the movie that they just ripped out, or is that a new line?
I don't know the movie well enough to confirm nor deny those reports. I'd have to hear it again. I would assume it's just something they pulled out.
Probably out of the movie.
But, you know, it's not ridiculous to assume that they would record something else. But part of me tells me that we would have heard if somebody was recording stuff.
Probably. I do like all the focus we're getting on Monica, though, because, I mean, she's going to be really important.
Yeah,
and she's going to be...
They're really working her in. For a show called WandaVision, this show is pretty Wanda and Vision light.
This episode, yeah.
This week. Very light on our titular heroes or villains, depending on how you want to view Scarlet Witch in this episode, because she's getting a little bit nasty there.
She is.
She's getting a little bit scary.
I don't want to talk about WandaVision quite yet. Because I got another picture to pull up that is really scared the shit out of me. I jumped in my seat when I saw this. But I do have one other thing I want to bring up that I have a picture of when it relates to S.W.O.R.D. And that is this little...
yes, they start... This is really sinister. They start like running through like the people that have gone in there. And you notice there's one
person missing. One person does not have a New Jersey ID. Also, it does take place in New Jersey. It takes place in the town of Westview, New Jersey, which apparently doesn't exist anymore if you ask those cops. That creeped me the hell out.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
The cops are like, there's no such thing as Westview, and there's a giant board right behind them that says Westview, New Jersey on it. I was like, oh, that's wrong.
That's pretty weird. But yeah, my point was going to be that Agnes doesn't have a thing. and she's the only one other than, again, our titular heroes there without one of those. So I'm assuming they don't know where she's from, and they've only profiled her based on her character, it seems, in the show, which is great, by the way, that, you know, these SWORD agents are getting to watch the show as we've watched the show,
Yeah.
and they're asking the same questions that we've been asking. And this episode definitely answers a lot of questions, I imagine, for a lot of people. Like we said earlier, they pushed it into marketing. Maybe they got the feeling that people might be starting to drop off if it kind of continues down the same path. You think they kind of slightly overstayed their welcome with the goofiness, and they really needed to emphasize that meat this week.
Yeah,
as it
they
were.
definitely were trying. They were trying to get out there that, hey, don't leave yet. This week's episode's gonna be important. Like we're
Yeah.
I'm sure that this was always the plan. I doubt they moved anything around in the release schedule. You know, I'm sure everything is very set and everything is going to happen as it was meant to happen. But I also would not be surprised if we found out that they were like, hey, by the way, they're really not digging just the sitcom thing. And they're like, here, cut together a trailer that shows that this episode's going to be very heavy on the non-sitcom stuff, and just let people know that this week we're getting into some real shit. But
I mean, do we really pull it past Disney and Marvel at this point to not have like some super team of editors working around the clock to like be tweaking this stuff on the fly as the reactions come into last week's episode? Because I guarantee you that's the thing that happens.
I don't think so. I think the episodes
are at that point now.
I think the episodes are probably pretty set. I don't think because when you watch the episode, it works perfectly. It only covers exactly what we have seen in those 3 episodes. If there was stuff in this episode that was like, that's a little weird, it feels like that should have been later in the show. Maybe I'd buy into that, but it seems pretty purposeful that we end at that point, and then we go back and we cover what happened, but on the SWORD side of it. So I don't know if I entirely buy into that.
I think interested to know what like a kind of like non-comic book fan who's thought of this, because a lot of this stuff I was kind of just like confirming what I basically already knew, but I could see this episode being pretty mind-blowing if you're not necessarily got all of the enough pieces to put together to kind of, you know, see kind of where this is going, or if you're not familiar with the comic set of the powers and the more like absurd reality altering type of stuff. So if you genuinely don't see that coming, I could see this episode being a really like whole shit kind of revelations episode. So maybe that's just missing on me. You know, but like the little helicopter drone, we called the helicopter drone.
Yes.
We called the energy field.
So I was a little wrong. I thought it was a straight up helicopter that Maria flew in on. That was not what it was. It was just a little drone thing. But I was right about the beekeeper. I was right about when you go in, things change, but we now know that when you come out, which we kind of knew this because of last episode, but confirmed this episode, that when you come out of the bubble, then you stay how you were when you were in the bubble. Like when the beekeeper goes, and I love this, the beekeeper goes in and the rope attached to him becomes a jump rope. First of all, love that. Second of all,
that was really creepy, but also,
it comes out and it's still a jump rope. So, which makes sense because what it seems to me is that Wanda, because like it wouldn't make sense for things just to be altered when they're in there, because that's not how Wanda's powers work, right? Once she alters reality, she's altered it. She doesn't just alter it.
Unless she consciously wants to like do something in her universe that turns your thing back, it's not going to happen.
Now, the interesting question raised during this episode is who's broadcasting the show and who's editing the show. I don't know if that's Wanda.
No, because they reveal that, you know, because there's things that are happening that we're seeing where it's rewinding,
Yeah.
and they're not getting those little snippets.
No.
They're just getting the abridged, edited version, and we're getting those little rewind moments. So you've got to assume that this is somebody who's trying to cover their tracks.
So it definitely seems like there is another party at work, and it's not all Wanda, like Monica said.
I'm going to assume that that person is the exact same person who we do not see one single time in this episode.
Talking about Agnes?
I'm talking about Agnes.
All right.
Agnes, baby, I'm looking at you, and I'm seeing a distinct lack of your presence in this episode. I feel it.
This is true.
And I don't know if that's just the sitcom stuff. I know it's definitely her as well. She's great. And it definitely leaves a Catherine Hahn shaped hole in my heart.
A very suspiciously shaped hole in your heart. Yeah.
Yes.
That I don't know if I'm trying to actually, because like what I want to do is what's gonna happen is we're gonna fucking walk into Agnes's house in episode 6 of the show, whatever, not 6, episode like 8, the second to last episode. They're gonna go in the basement. There's just gonna be a full TV production station down there. She's gonna be sitting there editing the broadcast as it goes out. I mean, she could be, if people, you know, are theorizing that maybe she has some sort of magical powers. Maybe she's behind because the question is, right? Okay. I think we're getting close to something. So why don't we go to break really quick, actually? Because
you want to break now?
I want to break now because I don't think this episode's going to be as long. I've really got some stuff.
Cool.
So let's go to break now. Why don't you try reconnecting while we're in the break and seeing if that helps with the audio thing? But I'm gonna throw the promo break up and you do a reconnect real quick. So
let's do that.
We will be
see you in a second, guys. Check out this promo. Check out the show that this promo is for. We'll be with you right in a moment.
Yes.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah, host of Go Get That Rose podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to talking about all things Bachelor Nation. Join Jay Wade, a man in his 40s who is recently new to all things Bachelor Nation, and myself, someone who has been watching passionately for the past 3 years, as we review, share our thoughts on each episode of whatever show is currently on TV, whether that is Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise. We might not even know everyone's name, but we have fun nonetheless. You can find us on Merc Movie Blog feed wherever you listen to podcasts.
All right.
And unlike the plot moving forward for this episode, we are back and we are still experiencing the events of episode 3. Sean,
Yes.
What have you got?
So episode 3. Episode 4. Episode 4. First of all, the episode title, which I don't think we actually talked about yet, was something I had written down, and now I need to actually go look at it again because I forgot that I closed that. The episode title was "We Interrupt This Program," which is very, very fitting. You
thought you hated the sitcom stuff. They made you wish it would come back. That's how they get you. That's how Disney get you. They get you like that. It's just like a monkey's paw of a TV show. Just when you think you hate it, you want it, and then they take it away.
So we have been told it's 3 weeks. You know, at least it might be a little bit longer now. We might be at a month and a half. But when Monica returns to Sword, they're like, "Hey, you're the first one back. It's been 3 weeks since everyone came back," and that means that 3 weeks after, or 4 weeks after, a month after, we get that scene on the banks of the river at the end of Endgame where Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch are like, "Oh, you know, maybe the people that died for a reason." About a month after that, we've got Wanda holding a town hostage, carrying around her dead boyfriend's corpse.
Oh
like,
me like that, man. Give me a warning. I need.
It's
warning.
scared. I swear to God. Tyler I was watching with my friend Tyler. when that happened, I jumped out of my seat. It scared. He is so scary to look at. I hate looking at him. He's
Oh
so
my god.
so.
He's, so he pops up, and I register that. Oh, that's the vision. Something's off, and it takes me a couple more seconds to get there to realize what's
Yeah.
missing and what, you know. And it really just sunk my chest out of nowhere. I just didn't see that coming at
So
all. Just really brought me to the reality of the situation.
is she straight up just puppeting his corpse around, do you think? Is there literally just, if you were to go into Westview and not get caught up in the illusion of it all, would you just see the corpse of Vision walking around pretending to be a live person? Because that's
I don't,
kind of what I think's happening.
I don't think so. I mean, where was the vision when Thanos got him? He's in Wakanda, right?
Yeah, but
So
it's been 5 years since then. You don't think they brought the corpse
yeah,
back with them?
he moved about, the black market or something. You want to buy some Vision limb. Um,
I'm sure that Cap didn't just leave Vision's corpse in the jungles of Wakanda. I'm sure he was like, let's get him on the Quinjet before we get out of here. I will point out this is outside.
I could drag robots across the jungle all day.
This is outside of what we know from the shows and movies, but we know it from interviews and stuff. We do know that originally the end tag for Endgame was Scarlet Witch opening up a body bag, and inside was the corpse of Vision.
Yeah.
They cut that. I think it was the right choice to cut that. But is the implication then that that tag would have shown us Scarlet Witch picking up her dead boyfriend's corpse so she can move to New Jersey and take over a small town with it?
I think that Sword have his corpse, and maybe she saw it or something, and that's triggered her kind of meltdown or her descent into this reality. Maybe I don't know if she's puppeting the corpse
I want her to
necessarily.
be so bad. I think that's be so fucking,
I
because
think
she's
that's
evil. She's so fucking
too
evil,
dark.
dude. She's so
I
evil. The way she talks in this episode when she's like, you are not a friend, you are trespassing. She's so evil.
Yeah, she is. But I think by that token, I think everything in that universe is by her,
Yeah.
manifestation. I don't think she drapes in a corpse around through her little plate. I don't know. I just there's something about that doesn't sit right with me.
I think
I don't
that's
know
the
if they'll
point.
take.
I'm gonna just because I want everybody to see how fucking
I mean, this
horrifying.
whole
Look at
show
that
kind of
fucking thing.
relies on like, oh,
Look at
don't.
it. Look at it. Did you see the way its eyes moved in the episode? It looked so fucking
Yeah,
weird. I hated it. I love it so much. It's so scary. Like, we talk about every so often, like, this show is edging on horror in certain circumstances. That was just straight up some horror shit. Like the way his eyes blinked
yeah,
and it's just these glassy empty orbs. It's so horrifying. I really I really
yeah,
that's my favorite part of the episode is when it cuts to just Vision's fucking corpse walking around the house.
yeah. And Paul Bettany reading these scripts like episode 1, 2, 3. Like, yeah, great.
Yeah.
This is some comedy gold. I'm flexing all these chops. I'm doing retro meta stuff. This is wonderful. Hang on, where's my pages for episode 4? They're
Yeah.
there, Mr.
Yeah.
Bettany.
What?
We did not accidentally send them to Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
Um,
I I like the idea they were
but
shooting episode 3 and he's like, in the Vision makeup, the purple makeup and stuff. And they're like, "Okay, good job. Now we're going to need you to go and sit in makeup for 8 hours again cuz we need to get it with you in the white makeup." And it's like, "I'm sorry, what?"
yeah, like just when you thought you were coming to your twilight years of this character, we've come up with an extra layer of makeup that we're going to add to this shit
I hope you enjoyed.
just to
I
make
hope you
it
enjoyed your first 8
worthwhile.
hours.
That last, we're going to make you the same color of milk because we're going to milk the last few minutes of contract out of your pasty English asshole. Anyway,
We saw Jimmy was the one on the radio, which I think we kind of already knew because we recognized the voice.
Yeah, I liked kind of like revisiting the whole thing through new
I did.
eyes. I mean, it was a bit like redundant in a lot of ways because a lot of it is basically how I imagined it down.
Yeah, if you've been on this podcast for the last 3 weeks, a lot of this stuff has been brought up, right? It's a lot of stuff that we were like, yeah, this is probably what's happening, just from context clues and such.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I'm intrigued to see how they kind of handle it from here because now people have had that taste. I don't think they're going to do what we want them to do and just lean straight into like the marveliness of it all. I think we're probably going to revert before we move forward.
I mean, I definitely want.
They gave us more than enough in this. They gave us so much.
I want more sitcom stuff. I like the sitcom half of the show.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will probably find weirdly that they were missing it.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I think the show is going to hopefully kind of zigzag a little bit more that way before it kind of finally settles into a final stretch there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where we go with the show from here because I'm not gonna lie, I was really looking forward to that 80s episode. This was not the 80s episode.
No.
I have to assume with the number of episodes we have left, right? We've got comments. I got yes, water. I got to skip all of that since I started on this episode. Definitely go back and watch the first 3 because they're really good. Water. You'll really. I actually don't know if you'll enjoy them, but you might enjoy them. I was really excited for the 80s episode. I'm very excited for the 90s episode because it's Full House.
I could have done with not being excited for the 80s episode. I really could have. The humor could have, if the humor I think would have landed a lot better. I thought the kind of banter between Wu and Darcy was very like dry, very hit and miss.
I liked it, honestly.
Of course, chemistry between them, it didn't always land for me, to be honest.
That's fair.
So I think if that's held up a lot better and kind of interconnected, the exposition, I would have enjoyed this episode a lot more. But
I think Randall Park. I think Randall Park is just too good.
He's great. She's great as well.
I don't think she's as good as he is, though. Like the line when she's like, "Want one?" When they're talking about he's like, "Yeah, WandaVision having a baby. Want one?" And he's like, "Oh, I've thought about it. A little Jimmy Woo running around with a little FBI badge. Like that fucking kills me. He's so funny. He's so good. I mean, there
was a couple of great ones, but I think there was like 3 or 4 not great ones, kind of between them both. And it's hardly fair because you can't compare that to the chemistry that we used to, which is Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, and they've been, they've been at it for 6 years.
They're so great and so in tune that it's not fair to kind of to shift focus unexpectedly to, is it Ray Park?
Randall Park. Ray Park is Darth Maul.
Randall Park. That's a
very different. That's a Randall Can you imagine if he showed up in this show?
Yeah, and Kat Jennings.
Kat Dennings.
That's a completely different vibe to what we used to. I think maybe we might see the cast expand a little bit next week.
Once again. Oh man, what a great. Look at him.
I'm happy he learned the trick.
I'm so
too
happy
bad
he learned the
to do it
trick.
in a town that doesn't exist anymore or never
God,
existed in the first place. There was just an East View, and they just decided to make a West View. That's it.
it
I was
scared
like,
the.
I don't know if that's cool or not. I don't.
It is so weird. There is just, and the shot framing is so good, where they have the shot of the like it's kind of looking up at the cop. It's kind of down, or the camera's kind
Yeah.
of down, and it's looking up at the cop, and just over his shoulder, in just "Welcome to Westview" in massive letters, and him just going, "There's no such thing as Westview," was like. It freaked me the fuck out. I thought it was really, really well done.
It's pretty cool. Uh, you know, I guess she just made a town that has no just. There was already an Eastview, so I made a Westview. Like I get, towns are named weirdly and stuff, but that's it, really. All those hours I put in googling Westview, trying to find some deep satanic pagan
It's just a
connections
town.
to Westview, and it was just because there was an Eastview.
So
Really decent.
I will say as well, I'm pretty sure the Avengers base is in Jersey, isn't it? Isn't the Avengers base in Jersey? I think it is. The new one, the one that Thanos blew the fuck up in Endgame.
Yeah, it was.
So, but
Maybe there's just a big crater
if
there.
you panned the
Maybe.
camera over like 100 feet to the right of Westview, you'd just see the Avengers complex like with a massive crater flooded
Yeah.
from that lake that Doctor Strange was holding back during the
Which
battle.
is maybe where they would have had the Vision's body at that point. And if that got blown up, then there could be a whole load of like Avengers-y, relic-y kind of stuff going on in that area.
That's what I'll say. When I finish the episode,
kind of like Death Star ruins in the Rise of Skywalker, I guess.
I know S.H.I.E.L.D. is done. Give me Agents of S.W.O.R.D. on Disney Plus, Randall Park, Kat Dennings, whoever else you want to put in there. Put in,
Fill it out.
yeah, fill it out with whoever else. Bring in some S.H.I.E.L.D. alumni if you want. Bring in, I mean, if you want to.
You know what? Wouldn't even hate it. Bring in some of the cast from Agents
Exactly.
of Shield. If you can find a way to slot those guys in there.
Exactly.
I was watching some of season 6 of that because I'm not caught up. I'd watched all the other stuff, and I was it's a completely different show now, but I was having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
And I think some of those actors could do a lot more if they were given more to do in the Marvel universe.
You gotta
bring it in.
Bring in Kat Dennings, bring in Randall Park, bring back Fitz and Simmons from S.H.I.E.L.D. because they're the best characters in that show.
See, Fitz and Simmons, you know what it's about.
It's Fitz and Simmons. That's what that entire show was about. Bring in Fitz and Simmons, make them the Agents of S.W.O.R.D., and just do a Disney Plus show that is like this episode, but for the entire season of just them solving like weird mysteries. I would watch that so I'd love that. I really hope they do something like that.
Yeah, see, like Star Wars have announced a bunch of different kind of like completely different kind of shows and stuff. I'm wondering if like Marvel put themselves in the box, like if they're going to see things that work well from series that they weren't necessarily expecting, and if we're going to see like an expansion.
I mean,
or if they're going to kind of spin it everyone off into each other's shows and have it as a more kind of communal kind of system than what Star Wars has going on. Because obviously that's in different time periods and stuff.
And the Marvel ones are also telling a bigger overarching story, obviously. But I hope that what Marvel learns at some point is that not everything needs to be super connected. I love that we have this massive ongoing storyline, and I love that we're going to continue to have that in the Marvel shows. I'm okay with having this Disney Plus series, or Agents of S.W.O.R.D., right? That's just a half-hour workplace comedy that doesn't advance the plot of the MCU at all, but is just there, and it's just like fun and good. Like I'd watch the hell out of that.
Yeah. So wrapping it up, You got any final thoughts on this
I liked the episode.
before we wrap up?
I think it's probably. I don't know if it's my favorite so far. There's a lot of stuff I really liked in it. I
think it's definitely the weakest episode. That's
I
kind
mean,
of
just
where I was
fucking-
going. I was hoping you was going to say something more positive so that I didn't.
I think I succeeded in that. I really, really enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed getting the curtains pulled back for a little bit. I'm excited to go back into the sitcom next episode. 80s, cool. I'm ready for 90s. 2 weeks from now, bring in Evan Peters as Quicksilver. Have him come up from the basement, Uncle Joey style.
Man,
Like
I'm still intrigued and
telling
excited
you.
to find out what they're doing with that. If they go there, that's going to be pretty crazy.
They're going to be there. They're going to have the two kids, Wanda and Vision, and they're going to be like, what's that downstairs? Is that Uncle Joey is that Uncle Pietro in the basement? And he's gonna come he's gonna be acting like a clown, like Uncle Joey did on Full House. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be Evan Peters as Quicksilver, as Pietro Maximoff, coming up from the basement as Uncle Joey. So
you think it's like Evan Peters is he's playing a version of Quicksilver inside of their Wanda's TV show that just happens to be the Evans Peters version of Quicksilver.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be the Quicksilver from the Fox movies, but I do think it's gonna be the actor. And we'll figure out how that all works, whether she just brought him back and he looks different for some reason. Like, just come on.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, we're opening up the multiverse and we want to bring back a character, are you going to bring back Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver? Or are you going to bring back the guy that everybody liked as Quicksilver? Because I liked Aaron Taylor Johnson as Quicksilver. I didn't like him as much as I liked Evan Peters as Quicksilver.
Yeah. I just, be interesting to see how they balance that with the emotional pull of, kind of what history we've seen her with, and kind of just the questions that the Evan Peters version brings up, I think kind of overshadow almost the emotional weight of the situation. So we'll see.
We'll see. I think that if anything, Elizabeth Olsen has proved in these 4 episodes that she is able. She's a very good actress, and I think she could. Make it work.
She really touched by turning on the screw today, huh?
She's killing it.
She was all smiles the first 3 episodes, and she definitely was not what we got to see of either of them.
No. But yeah, that's all I've
got.
So
I'm wondering how we're going to balance back out, if we're going to kind of ride back into the middle and or if we're just going to consistently jump between. From this point onwards remains to be seen, and we will definitely be talking about that next week. Sean, where can they find you?
Well, if you look at this little thing that's on top of my camera, it's a little name. It says @Sean_AFK. Yeah, if you go to that on Twitter, you'll find my Twitter account.
That is?
Yeah, that's what that is. It's @Sean_AFK. I don't know if you guys here. I'll say it one more time in case people can't read it. @Sean_AFK. If you just go there, you'll be transported to a world of mystery and delights.
Woo! All right, guys, I'm gonna break even with you here. Vision is not actually my name. I didn't get this job working with this fine man on this fine show with the name Vision. That is not my name. You can find me at I'm Dean2099 at Twitter and Real DL at Instagram. Go and hit me up there if you want. Like those things, get those algorithms are turning in my favor. Every little helps. And come back here, like, subscribe this time, and also do it next time when you come back to watch next time, because you're only going to do that too.
Yeah, next Friday, 6:30.
The time that he said.
Yeah, next Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
My
time. Because Dean is on a different time zone. But thank you guys so much for listening or watching or whatever. And goodbye.